Good evening and welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. Glad that you could join us tonight in order for us to keep you updated with everything taking center stage in the country and of course across our borders. And tonight on Her Say, we will be unpacking the legal frameworks surrounding contraceptives and exploring societal, cultural and personal experiences with contraceptives. That will be coming later on the second part of this broadcast. But first, as it is our custom right here, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
Tonight, members of parliament allied with the president now claim that some leaders within President William Ruto's government are undermining the operations of the broad-based government.
Simama kila siku na kusema ati mimi ni msema kweli na wewe ndio mwongo mkubwa.
Deputy President and leaders supporting him have responded by urging them to cool the political temperature. After the court once again ruled that the NGCDF Fund Act, enacted in 2013 and amended in 2015, is unconstitutional, we ask what next for the seemingly troubled fund. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is preparing to take 2 officials from the Kenya Rural Roads Authority to court for embezzlement of 500 million Kenyan shillings.
All right, welcome once again to this live broadcast. Kelvin Makori is our sign language interpreter tonight. Remember to follow this broadcast live on our social media platforms at TV47 Kenya on YouTube, TV47 KE on Facebook, and TV47 News on Twitter. The hashtag is Her Say. Let's get started. Now, following the High Court's decision Friday declaring NGCDF as unconstitutional, there has been mixed reactions on the decision. Meanwhile, the National Assembly has vowed to appeal the ruling, despite having suffered similar fates of unsuccessful appeals at the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. So is it the end of the NGCDF? Our reporter Sheila Chelangat filed this report.
Friday, the 20th of September.
The time is now ripe for the people of Kenya to appreciate that a constituency is not a service delivery unit, but a unit of representation.
Yet another landmark ruling on the NGCDF Act, declaring it unconstitutional for the fact that it undermines the spirit of devolution while creating unnecessary overlaps in the government.
Yes, it has had positive impact. But remember, it was also an attempt to decentralize, and we had it before devolution. So now that we have devolution, that money can be channeled as conditional grants to county governments.
However, it is not the first time that the constitutionality of the fund has been challenged. In 2015, a High Court ruling declared the CDF Act unconstitutional, suspending it for 12 months to allow for legislative amendments. At the Supreme Court also in 2020, the NGCDF Act was declared unconstitutional for violating the separation of powers doctrine as well as division of revenue and public finance law.
High Court said what it said yesterday because CDF, as we know it, died on 7th of August 2022 when the Supreme Court made its decision, because those principles are the same: separation of powers, MPs as having only 3 roles: legislating, oversighting, representing, no executional functions, no funds with legislators in it.
And while the court ordered for all NGCDF activities to cease by June 30th, 2026, the National Assembly has expressed intentions to appeal Friday's High Court decision.
Kila mtu anachakuliwa na anapewa majukumu yake na pesa yake. Tuko na mbunge anapewa pesa ya CDF. Tuko na gavana anapewa mgao wake pesa mingi sana. Mimi ninapata chini ya milioni 200.
For now, Parliament has applied for a stay of the declaration of the unconstitutionality of the NGCDF Act. However, Parliament has always suffered blows of unsuccessful appeals at the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court.
We now have devolution and we have 2 levels of government. So you can't bypass that structure.
The implications of the ruling profound, potentially reshaping how development funding is managed in the country. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila, for that report. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has raided the residences of 2 senior officials of the Kenya Rural Roads Authority in a probe on alleged embezzlement and irregular acquisition of multi-million properties. And as our reporter Samira Mohammed tells us, Kera Regional Accountant for Lamu County, Motambo Kilonzi, and Regional Director for Kirinyaga County, Joseph Murage Kimata, are being sought in connection with the misappropriation of over 500 million Kenyan shillings through procurement fraud involving road construction and maintenance tenders. Take a look.
The Rural Roads Authority Regional Accountant for Lamu County, Motambo Kilonzi, and Regional Director for Kirinyaga County, Engineer Joseph Marage, have found themselves on the wrong side of the law for the misappropriation of more than 500 million Kenyan shillings through procurement fraud in road construction and maintenance tender.
The operation is part of a wider investigation by the Commission that is targeting officials of the Kenya Rural Roads Authority and other agencies within the road sector.
EACC officials raided Kilonzi's home on Thursday, a week after a similar operation at Katama's Kirinyaga residence, where they managed to collect crucial shreds of evidence to assets owned by the duo, as the commission seeks to charge them and forfeit the properties to the government.
The operation in both the cases yielded important evidentiary material that the commission will use in finalizing the remaining aspects of the investigation. Once the investigation is complete, the Commission will make appropriate recommendations to the Director of Public Prosecutions.
The Commission is investigating the officials over alleged accumulation of unexplained wealth, conflict of interest, receipt of kickbacks from contractors, and embezzlement of public funds through procurement fraud in roads, constructions, and maintenance.
Where a suspect is found to be in possession of unexplained wealth or other proceeds of corruption, then the Commission will proceed to court to recover the same for the purposes of return to the public.
Kilonzi is accused of irregularly awarding tenders and making a payment over 216 Kenyan shillings to 4 proxy companies belonging to his wife and relatives. Well, Kamata is said to have awarded contracts worth over 311 million Kenyan shillings to 4 companies belonging to a former colleague.
Contracts that are given in situations of conflict of interest are illegal contracts, and the Commission will continue to file civil suits to recover monies that are paid to persons.
The companies include Njoska Enterprises Limited, who received a payment of 71,820,000 Kenyan shillings, Lebka Enterprises Limited, which got a share of 115,573 Kenyan shillings, Dolini Enterprises Limited with 109,773 Kenyan shillings, and Kipetu General Limited that received 13,958 Kenyan shillings. Samira Mohammed for TV47.
Thank you, Samira. Now, with less than 24 hours left before Kenya joins the world in marking World Chronic Myeloid Leukemia Day, themed Leaving No Patient Behind, a call has been made to the government to urgently address the high cost of cancer treatment in the new health scheme, SHA. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
Almost 9,000 people are diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia every year. This type of leukemia accounts for 15% of leukemia cases reported. At the Nairobi hospital, hundreds of people battling chronic myeloid leukemia are currently on treatment. Susan Wangare and John Mwangi being among them.
Kwangu niko na miaka 6 bila kumeza dawa. Kwangu overcome.
I'll say the journey has been smooth through the family support, the medication, the doctors around, and now being on the transition of now not coming from Nairobi Hospital and being brought nearer to Nakuru.
The reason we celebrate CML is because CML is treatable.
Chronic myeloid leukemia occurs when blood cells with cancer build up in the bone marrow and spill over into the bloodstream, affecting various parts of the body, especially the abdomen. Some of the signs and symptoms include weight loss, abdominal swelling, and excessive bleeding.
So there has been an evolution of treatment from the oral medications to the injectables all the way to transplant.
Treatment for chronic myeloid leukemia is approximately 25,000 Kenya shillings every week, which translates to about 400,000 Kenya shillings every month. However, over 2,300 patients are lucky enough to have benefited from free drugs under the GPAP program launched in 2004.
There is a test that is called PCR. It costs us around 17,000 per year, and sometimes we'll be required to do it twice or thrice a year. So it's a lot of money.
A call has been made to the government to address the high cost of cancer treatment in the three funds under the Social Health Authority.
I know there's a primary healthcare fund which is part of this big scheme. That if it's properly operationalized, then you're going to be writing news stories about cancer care in this country.
Meanwhile, Kenyans have been urged to observe a healthy lifestyle and proper nutrition to protect themselves from being diagnosed with different types of cancer, which is Kenya's third leading cause of death, affecting about 47,000 people and further claiming the lives of 30,000 people every year. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, tonight, allies of President William Ruto have come out to defend the president from claims by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua that Ruto sanctioned the impeachment of his deputy. Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah termed Gachagua's claims as sympathy-seeking gimmick meant to set up Mount Kenya MPs against the region. And as Apollo Kamau reports, Gachagua, who toured Limuru County on Friday, asked leaders to shun politics and focus on service delivery.
Following Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's explosive revelation that President William Ruto has sanctioned his impeachment, President Ruto's allies have come to the defense of the president, terming the remarks by the Deputy President as a sympathy-seeking gimmick meant to set up MPs from the Mount Kenya region against the people. The leaders adding that no MP has collected signatures to impeach the Deputy President.
As a leader of majority, I can tell you there has never been any impeachment motion against the Deputy President. That has been his creation, and those that he walks around with is a sympathy-seeking gimmick to try and incite people from the Mount Kenya region and more so against members of parliament.
Isiwe wewe unasimama kila siku na kusema ati mimi ni msema kweli. Na wewe ndio uongo mkubwa. Ni unaongeza kwa uongo. Unaongea uongo usiku, unaongea uongo mchana. Mambo unaongea ukishika microphone, mambo tofauti unaongea ukiwa kwa ofisi. Hiyo ni kwa kiongozi kweli. Na ndio mimi nataka niseme tusidanganyane. Heshima sio utumwa.
It's upon our boss, President William Ruto.
During an interview with Citizen Television on Friday evening, Gachagua told President William Ruto to call his house to order, wondering how the impeachment meetings were taking place at the nose of the president.
It's upon our boss, President William Ruto, to call his house to order.
Have you spoken to the president?
Yes, I've talked to the president several times. And I've asked him to call his house to order. Yeah, he's here to do it, and I trust he'll do it, because how can people be meeting possibly at this time to discuss how to impeach a deputy president when the country needs a lot of work to be done?
Unaambia president wako to keep your house in order. How can you do that? Experience is important. Kuna kitu inaitwa Official Secrets Act. You cannot go to TV and expose what happens that the president has told you something directly. It is wrong.
After touring Wakulima Market, home to thousands of traders from the Mount Kenya region on Friday, Gachagua, flanked by his allies, toured Limuru, Kiambu County on Saturday, where he told Ruto allied MPs to lower political temperatures and instead serve the people.
Na sisi tunamheshimu rais, tutaendelea kumheshimu na kumunga mkono. Lakini tukiendelea na hiyo, tunaendelea kutafuta marafiki kila pahali. Kwa sababu hatutaki watu ya Mlima Kenya kukaa peke yao. Tunataka tutafute marafiki kila pahali. Na ile sisi tunataka kuuliza wajumbe wetu wapunguze siasa, warudi kwa kazi. Hii ni wakati ya kazi.
Ukiguza Rigiji umeguza mlima. Tigwo, ukiguza Rigiji umeguza mlima. Na mimi nimesema vile alisema jana. Si mlimuona kwa TV? Si aliongea ukweli? He is a truthful man. Rigiji, tutatembea na wewe kila mahali.
wakati mulinjua ya kwamba tunajua vile mumefanya ukarabati ya bei ya majani chai, mulisema Rigathi wa Gachagua ako na kampuni ambayo inaitisha shilingi 3 kwa kilo ya majani chai. Tunataka Jumatatu mutoe ushahidi ya kwamba Rigathi wa Gachagua ameingilia bei ya majani chai.
In Nairobi County, where Gachagua's key ally, Embakasi North MP James Gakuya, has expressed interest in the city's 2027 gubernatorial race, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja fought back, saying he will not allow Nairobi to be micromanaged by the Deputy President.
Lakini uliniombea kura wewe ukuwe gavana wa Nairobi ama mimi? Au unaniombea kura ndio wewe ukuwe gavana wa Nairobi? I'm the elected governor. Na ile kitu tunafanya Nairobi sio ya kabila hii ama kabila lingine. There will be order in the city of Nairobi. Rest assured. We will do things the right way. And we will take care of everybody's interests in a fair manner. Kwenda kudanganya wananchi ati soko inahamishwa ati inauzwa is not responsible.
So many rumors going around the market that he says there's still going to be relocation of the market. And that is why people sought the support of the Deputy President to come and reassure them that there was going to be no relocation of the Marikiti market or the Wakulima market. And that is why we had those meetings yesterday. There's nothing political about it. It was just an affirmation that Marikiti is here to stay. Wakulima market is not going, traders are not going to be relocated, and there was nothing political about it.
Apol Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo, for that report. Now, 2 people died today after boda crashed into a private vehicle head-on at the Soilo interchange along the Nakuru-Njoro Road. According to witnesses, the boda rider and his pillion passengers died on the spot after crashing head-on with a private vehicle while attempting to overtake a lorry. Bodies of the 2 male victims were moved to Nakuru County mortuary pending identification.
So Kenya mimi nilishuhudia wao jamaa pikipiki alikuwa anatoka hivi. Ndio alikuwa anatokea hivi. Kulikuwa na lori ilikuwa inakuja mbele. Sasa wao jamaa piki na alikuwa nyuma ya lori. Kuona lori inakuja akaona hizi overtake hiyo lori na hiyo lori ilikuwa inanyorosha. Unaona? Sasa yeye akaona acha atokee nyuma ya lori. Kutokea nyuma ya lori na mama alikuwa anatoka na huko. Straight. Kufika hapa najua alikuwa amekuja hivi na hii road ilikuwa imekula space. So lazima atoke hii hapa nje ndio achukue ya ndani. Sasa kukuja hivi akakutana na hiyo pikipiki inatoka na alikuwa speed. Kukuja hivi wakakutana katikati.
Watu wawili ndio wamepoteza maisha yao hapa kwa hii accident. Hii kona ya hapa hivi Soilo, tunaomba serikali watunyoroshe hii kona juu imemaliza majenzi manze. Hata nimestuka tu sana. Naambia tu Mungu asaidie hii barabara iundwe ndio iwache kumaliza watu sana.
Right now, Kenyans today joined the global community in commemorating International Peace Day with events held across various parts of the country to address issues affecting communities such as border conflicts and other challenges. In Migori County, Deputy Governor Dr. Joseph Mahiri called on leaders to avoid early political campaigns and focus on development initiatives instead. Now in West Pokot County, participants from counties in the Northern Rift and Western regions gathered for this special occasion during the International Day of Peace celebrations themed Cultivating a Culture of Peace held at the Kishaunet Showground. The NICC chairman condemned the rising political intolerance witnessed nationwide.
We have tried as a county government to ensure that we bring together the two warring communities. We preach peace, we bring it, but it's not working. Now it is a high time that the national commissioner represented here with the commissioner, they take up the issue so that we work together, the people of Gwitembe and Angata, they have peace, because it's something that needs to be settled. Young people dying there because people not going to farm their usual places. They are used to farming there.
Angata, let us live peacefully. When you talk to them, the elders there say they don't have a problem. So there is need to identify those who are trying to destabilize people in Gwitembe and in Angata, Baragoi.
One thing that I know is that the presidency is a symbol of national unity. If that fiber is not there within that part, then things will not be good for my people down here. I'm quite worried when I see the situation within the country. At one point, Naivasha, everything starts as a joke. The next moment, things are out of control.
If where you are not at peace individually, then it becomes a hindrance to achieving peace from a global or even national perspective.
This provides us with an opportunity to empower and nurture young people on the dynamics, participatory process where dialogue is encouraged and the conflicts are solved in a spirit of mutual understanding, mutual cooperation, respect for and promotion of the right of everyone.
Through these meetings, we have learned one critical lesson. Peace cannot be imposed. It must come from within, from a shared desire to build a future of prosperity, security, and trust.
Now, government and non-governmental organizations have called upon Kenyans to preserve and conserve beaches at the coast region from plastic bag pollution. While conducting the exercise at Pirates Beach in Mombasa, officers from the Kenya Navy, Kenya Coast Guard Service and other non-governmental organizations joined hands in celebrating International Coast Cleanup Day by collecting harmful material to the sea creatures. John Kinyanjui, director of the Kenya Coast Guard Services, noted that it is important to curb activities and behaviors that threaten the maritime industry. Also, the Worldwide Fund for Nature is calling for the adoption of a global legally binding treaty in a bid to tackle the escalating plastic pollution crisis in the ocean. At the same time, he called on beverage companies to redesign their products better and create items that are both recyclable and reusable. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, approximately 19 to 23 million tons of plastic waste enter the oceans every year, hence endangering marine life and ecosystems.
The purpose of forming this agency was to make sure that we have an enforcement which takes care of our security in the maritime. Also ensure the safety for the people and the vessels which are cruising through the waters, and also to ensure the protection of the marine resources. Today we are gathered in Pirates, and we have joined with other stakeholders who love the ocean. We are very concerned about the state of our environment, especially the beaches. This is because the beaches are very important as ecological sites for the breeding grounds for the turtles, the seabirds, and some crabs. So we have to ensure that the health of this ecosystem, the beach environment, is well maintained and is kept healthy.
Work with cities to smarten their processes in terms of collection, in terms of logistics, in terms of also mobilizing the stakeholders. Then finally, the third thing that WWF is doing is to mobilize for a global legally binding treaty to end plastic pollution. And the classic case is the beaches where we are just from. The plastic that has showed up on our beaches, some of it has actually not emanated from Mombasa. It's come all the way from the neighboring countries. So it is critical that we have common rules across the world in terms of how do we manage plastic.
In other news, as the government continues to empower local manufacturers, Kenyans are being urged to purchase locally manufactured products so as to promote and secure the manufacturing industry. This comes at a time when most millennials in the country can relate with the famous batter school shoes, famously known as tafis. Speaking during the launch of a new butter outlet at Likoni Mall in Mombasa County, TV47 News presenter Betty Kyalo and Butter Kenya Managing Director Benson Okumu have asked Kenyans to embrace butter products as they come in different varieties. The company is also producing comfy products for the current generation as they keep in mind their old pata clients.
Butter is a brand that has been with us throughout. I mean, celebrating 138 years, and of course they've been in Kenya for such a long time. Of course, that's a brand that we should support. We should buy Kenya, build Kenya, promote our local manufacturing. They have a fantastic manufacturing plant in Limuru where they do some of the shoes. So I think it's just high time that we continue to support our local brands because they're beautiful. Long gone are the days that you have to go to which country to buy a nice pair of shoes. Right now you can get like really nice high tops, hiking shoes, sandals for men, women, children, right here at our butter store in Likoni.
We are celebrating 130 years since butter was founded globally. But for Butter Kenya, we are celebrating our 85th birthday. Yes, if we did not believe that we have a future in this country, we would not have gone into the investment that we have gone into. You know, Mombasa is a very interesting market for us. And by being hot, one of the highest selling categories in Mombasa are sandals. And you'll find that we have a wide range of sandals in terms of all the price points. You'll find the price point of 500 shillings up to a price point of even 3,000 shillings. So we have a very wide range of products for Mombasa. Mainly sandals, and there is also a product which sells very well in Mombasa, and this is safari boots. This is not only used by tourists, but some schools use it as well.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet. Bet bila stake. Predict the outcome of 8 pre-selected games and win up to 100,000 shillings. Only at maybet.com.
Now, in the world of sports, athletes and government officials earlier today were in Chepsaite, Uasin Gishu County, to preside over the launch of the Great Chepsaite Cross Country, which will take place from the 7th of December this year. The Chepsaite Cross Country has different categories, including men's and women cross country races. This event was graced by Farouk Kibet, Uasin Gishu Governor Jonathan B, and world record champion Eliud Kipchoge.
3, 2.
The second edition of the Chepsaite cross-country race was officially launched earlier today for athletes who wants to participate to register, and it was led by the race patron, Farouk Kibet. Kibet on his part explained his ambitions to develop and nurture talents in the Rift Valley region and the western parts of the country.
Nataka ningarishe sehemu hii na sehemu ya magharibi. Bungoma ni hapa chini, Kakamega ni hapa, Nandi ni hapa. Sisi wote tutembee kama Wakenya. Na tunataka nyinyi watoto mkimbie na muende mtuwakilishe. Mlipokuwa mwaka jana Kimani, watoto wa sehemu hii ndio wamekuwa number 1 katika michezo ya nchi yetu ya Kenya. Wametoka sehemu hii.
Farouk was also accompanied by Uasin Gishu County Governor Jonathan B, who explained that apart from sports bringing people together, he was so happy since most of the students who will participate in the race will get scholarships to go and study abroad.
Tunasema mambo ya sports, kando na kusiweka sisi pamoja, ni njia moja ya kutafuta ajira, njia moja ya kupata pesa. Na nafurahi sana kwa sababu tunakimbia tukijua kwamba elimu inatusawasisha na watu wengine pia. Watoto wengi hapa watapata scholarships, mkikimbia scholarship ya kwenda kusoma kule Amerika, kule Europe na kila mahali.
The chairman of the sports committee in the National Assembly and the MP for Webuye West, Dan Wanyama, said that he is happy that President Ruto and his government are aiming to develop young talent in the country.
The only equalizer in this country is sports. And I want to thank the government of Kenya Kwanza. Kwamba it is the only government that has now been interested in promoting sports in this country. I've been around for a while. and the allocation of the budget to the Ministry of Sports has always been meager.
Meanwhile, World Marathon holder Eliud Kipchoge explained how education and sports go hand in hand, and he encouraged the students athletes to also work hard in their academics, since talent and sports go together in one way or another.
God can talk the right language to the youth, to the old, to the women, and everybody. It's like kindness. So that's why we are here, is because of sport. Education is like kindness. Education can talk to a deaf person. It can talk to a blind person. And it can talk to that person who has eyes. That's why we are running for education.
All right, that's all we had in store for you in the world of news. Many thanks indeed for watching, but don't go too far. We are taking a very short break at this point. Hase is coming up next, and our conversation tonight will be centered on contraceptives. How are we doing as a country in terms of the contraceptives uptake in 2024? Calvin McCurry has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Don't go too far.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, Grind It, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We appreciate that you have chosen to stay with us here on Weekend Edition. Tonight, we are discussing contraception on her say, and this coming Thursday, the 26th, we'll be celebrating World Contraception Day. This is a day that is set aside to create more awareness on contraceptive use. Our guests are already in studio. Just right next to me is Dr. Isabella Katanu, and with her is Margaret Nyambura, who is the advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and Nyambura will be helping us understand the legal framework of this topic, of course. So thank you so much, all ladies, for being part of this discussion. Now, due to the interest of time, you know, we all know right now in the country that contraceptives is the use of drugs or surgeries to prevent pregnancies. But for the benefit of our viewer who is maybe hearing this for the very first time, Isabella, what does contraceptives encompass?
First, I'd like to redefine contraception. Mm-hmm. Contraception is the intentional prevention of pregnancy. Can be medical or through behavior. Mm-hmm. So behavior, even abstinence is part of contraception. Mm. Yeah, and then medically you can use a device or a procedure. Yes, that's how we'd like to define contraception. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily just encompass drugs alone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Abstinence is also part of contraception. Yeah. I hope they got that right. Now, Nyambura, how would you explain contraception to somebody who is hearing about this for the very first time, especially those in rural areas who are not so much exposed to contraceptives? How would you describe this to them?
Thank you for that. Am I allowed to switch languages and speak to the person in the village?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Yani ni njia ya kupanga uzazi. Right, so I'd like to admit all the definitions that she has given. Safe to say that contraception is just one of the methods of family planning. So family planning generally is kupanga uzazi, and that is inclusive of what the other person also helps you to do. But contraception now is just one of the methods of family planning. Right.
Daktari, what are the options available in terms of contraceptives in the Kenyan space?
We have a lot of options. We have hormonal methods, we have non-hormonal methods. From hormonal, we have injectables and the pills that you can take orally. And I'd like to say, you just don't decide today I want to do injectables. tomorrow I want to do oral contraceptives, you need to see a healthcare provider to help you to individualize the needs, because everybody, just because it worked for you doesn't mean it will work the same way for me. Yes. So from the hormonal methods, the orals, we have the combined oral contraceptives. It has 2 hormones. We have the progestin-only contraceptive, the progestin-only pill that only has 1 hormone, that is the progestin. And then for the injectables, we have the commonly available one is the DMPA, the depot, commonly known as depot, the one that is given 3 monthly. And for the non-hormonal methods, we have the copper devices, which are different. We have one that can go 12 years, another one can go 5 years. And then for we also have barrier methods, use of condoms and use of spermicides, but commonly in Kenya, it's use of condoms. Yes. And then we have other natural methods like the calendar method. It's also part of contraception. And we also have the lactational amenorrhea method, where a woman who is breastfeeding has to meet a certain criteria for us to say she's using contraception. Yeah, but those are the commonly available ones. They're available in most public hospitals, even level 3, level 2 hospitals. Yeah.
You've mentioned something quite interesting, that is the hormonal and non-hormonal, and I'll be requesting you to get into more details in that later on. But Nyambura, I want to understand, do you think the women in this country are well knowledgeable when it comes to matters contraceptives?
To be honest, there's a mix. So there is a need for education on the available methods, as Dr. Isabella has detailed them out, and also to know that what works for her might not work for me, what works for you might not work for me, as opposed to speaking to your neighbor and finding out that she has taken on a method and it is helping her to keep off from putting on the extra kilos. It would be great to approach a healthcare provider and have them individualize your needs, as Dr. Isabella put it. So one, there is a gap in access to information on the available methods. 2, even just, you know, if we are approaching the access to information through an integrated health service, where at the point of delivery of the service is where you also receive the information, then the absence of a health facility might also mean no information and no service altogether, right? The other thing is also, so there's people maybe in the rural areas who probably would have to access the health facility and at that point get information on this. Now we are having the introduction of community health promoters, community health assistants, community health volunteers, under what the government is now introducing under the Primary Healthcare Act. I think we have seen them often. We are about to see a little bit more of them because of the now rolled out program under the Ministry of Health. So you will see them with backpacks. They're probably also going to be giving you some options that are available. I think there's even some self-injectables that are there. So it's not enough to just have information, because then at the point of getting the services where the information is given. But we also have people now who are able to access the internet or access material that is in writing, but most often than not the internet or social media, where you have had organizations like in civil society that are supporting the government to bridge the gap in access to information and the available methods, and therefore they are able to have some options at their disposal. So you could go out of your way and seek the information, or the government could provide the information at the point where somebody has gone to seek the service.
All right, Dr. Now take us through the hormonal and non-hormonal contraceptives. How do you choose a particular type of contraceptive for someone?
Okay, thank you for that. For the hormonal contraceptives, we can, like I earlier stated, we can have injectables, we can have orally taken, or even an intrauterine device, though it's not commonly, it's still there, the Mirena, it's still there, but it's not commonly available in Kenya. Yes. And then for the non-hormonal method, we can classify them further. We can include other classes, like the barrier methods and the natural methods, and also the intrauterine copper device that is non-hormonal. The mechanism of action is non-hormonal. So for the how I decide what I want you to have, I have to know your medical history. Like, for example, if you've ever gotten a clot in your body, or it has ever embolized, I'd not advise you to use the combined oral contraceptive. It's available in every pharmacy, the 28-day pill. But then I'd rather give you, let's say, a progestin-only contraceptive. And the efficiency is the same, 99.7% for the combined oral, 99.4% for the progestin only. But then only that for the person who has ever had a clot in their leg or something, I'd not give them the combined. So in that case, I'm trying to say I'd choose a contraceptive method for you based on a lot of things. First, your weight, because a combined oral contraceptive is more likely to cause weight changes, can be lost or gain, as compared to the progestin-only contraceptive. So I have to know your medical history. I have to know, I cannot give a combined oral contraceptive to a mother who has just started breastfeeding because it reduces breast milk production in the first 6 months. So you have to be past 6 months. But then I'd give you a progestin-only contraceptive. So there are so many things. That's why I am insisting. Don't do what your neighbor is doing. You need to go to a healthcare provider. I'm not saying a doctor, a healthcare provider, anyone who has been empowered to offer education on the same, for you to get to choose the one that is good for you. And then we also have the injectables. We have the depot, commonly called as depot by people. The one that is given 3 monthly, it's an intramuscular injection, can be given through the arm. We call it deltoid. But then you can also give it subcutaneously. Like I give you to do it yourself. I teach you how to do it. And then, so that is really good for the people in the rural area because the fertility rate in the rural area is still high. We can see a very huge discrepancy between the urban and the rural area. So we are wondering, is it the availability or the accessibility of the contraception? But then if we can give you the self-injectable one, like the subcutaneous one, that would be good. So for the nanomonal contraceptives, we have intrauterine copper devices. They are different types. You can have one that goes up to 12 years, another one that goes up to 5 years, and another that goes up to 4 years. Most commonly available is 12 and 5 years. So depending on your need or your desired family size, you can just say, I think I want to do the 12 or the 5 years. Then you can also do the surgical approach, that is tubal ligation, if you feel you've already achieved your desired family size. Yes.
All right. But I just hold that thought. But now, Nyambura, would you say that when it comes to contraceptives, ni kubahatisha tu? Maybe nitapata ile ita work for me, maybe I will not get it. How does it work really?
Okay, so by kubahatisha tu, do you mean that it's something I can get over the counter?
No, not really. Like I would use this, maybe depot, and then it doesn't work for me. Then the next time I go for pills, I go for IUD. How does it work really?
Okay, so just like with any other instance where you're seeking health advice because one drug has not worked, I think every time we go to hospital, even in the instance of a common cold, and let's say you've been taking the same medication, you're having no change in, you're not getting any better. You have to go back. So it says, in case of any side effects, seek medical advice. So you go back to the same person who prescribed that method so that they figure out why it wouldn't be working for you. And then maybe they prescribe another one. We also see that with other situations, even for people who are on antiretroviral therapy. They start on one regimen. In case it doesn't work for them, they go back to the health facility and they get another one prescribed for them. Right.
How is the uptake of contraceptives in Kenya in 2024?
Oof, that's an interesting question. So let's be honest. Better for married and women in unions as opposed to unmarried women, adolescents, and young women for this reason. So, you know, before you set up any service provision, especially if it's from the government, because we are assuming that we are not looking at the demand that is met by the private sector, right? So there has got to be a policy that addresses the need so that the policy addresses budgeting. And then from budgeting, then you start seeing the item in the facility. So we have got in place right now the Kenya Reproductive Health Policy, supposed to be on for the period of 2022 up to 2032. So now this policy does not foresee a Kenya where the unmarried woman or the adolescent girl who has already reached age of puberty and can therefore conceive, or the young woman, the young unmarried woman, any unmarried woman, the adolescent who has already achieved age of puberty and can therefore conceive, would seek a service related to contraception or any of the methods. So for this reason, if you don't foresee them in the policy, it means the following legislative efforts are also not going to capture that need, and therefore you will not see any disbursements from Treasury that are thinking about that demographic when the decisions on dispatching is being made, and therefore you find only married women, that demographic, are the ones that are getting the service. Two, there's also stigma related to seeking contraceptive services. I mean, we could speak about all the barriers the whole day. There could be religious ones, there could be cultural ones, there could even be just societal ones. For instance, where I'm telling you that, please usichukue family planning or don't take contraception because utanenepa, right? Or it's not going to make you conceive now, later on, when now you want to conceive. Or even if you have somebody who was unfortunate enough to have died as a result of taking on a method of contraception that doesn't work for them, and therefore word on the streets becomes, this thing kills, because then there was a gap in information, and therefore the person unfortunately lost their lives. The other thing is also that there is the gap in access to information, and therefore people also don't know where they can get the services. So for instance, for the adolescent girl, I know we want to bury our heads in the sand and say that the age of sexual debut is what it is or what it is not. But if a possibility of conception can happen, then that is also a potential person for contraception. And to be honest, if you deal with reproductive health care providers, they'll tell you that the parents of adolescents and young women take them to the facilities for installation of whatever contraceptive method for reasons best known to themselves. But now, because there is a barrier in the policy, because it doesn't foresee that the young person is going to come and seek the service or the information related to it, therefore I place the requirement that you have to come accompanied by your guardian and your consent. Now here is a balancing act. I say that for this reason. If you're a child, your best interests are probably in the hands of your guardian. And that could be your parent or whoever it is who has custody over you, right? So for that reason, the decision making is on the parent, the guardian, right? So if the guardian doesn't think you need to get it, you're not going to get it. If the guardian doesn't think you should get it, now a decision on whether the young adolescent and the young person has got any business getting contraception, that's on a case-to-case basis, but we are speaking facts here, right? So other than just the societal, cultural, even just the fact that if you don't plan for it in the policy, then there's no economic backing that goes into it. Another thing is government priorities when it comes to planning. So for instance, I can put it this way. For the financial year 2021-2022, and you could just go online right now and Google Mwananchi budget. So it's like a summary, like a 7-page summary of the government priorities for the year. You'll see there's an amount of money that went into family planning and contraception. The following year, 2022-2023, kindly just have a look and see whether it's going to be there. But I assure you, for 2024-2025, there has been no intentional effort by the government to plan for family planning or contraception. But because priorities have shifted to universal health coverage, setting up the Digital Health Act as well, and everything that it presupposes. But maybe now that we are having a Primary Healthcare Act, and one of the services that we foresee to provide, or the government foresees to provide under the Primary Healthcare Act, is family planning, because it's considered a primary healthcare initiative, right? So maybe the costs for provision of the service is covered under primary healthcare, but only time will tell.
We will be looking out for that, indeed, Nyambura. Now, World Contraception Day 2024 theme, which will be next week Thursday, is a choice for all, freedom to plan, power to choose. Dr. Why is this important?
This is important because you get that some women with some conditions fear contraception. Like, I feel like I have hypertension, and maybe these contraceptive methods are going to worsen my condition. I have systemic lupus, SLE. So I feel like this will not be okay for me. But then, yeah, contraception is for everyone. It's for everyone. There's always a method for you, no matter your condition, even the chronic illnesses. There is a method for you. And then the freedom to choose. From a medical point of view, we offer contraception to all groups, from menarche. Menarche is the first time you got your period, up to menopause. It's only the legal part that can come in. So from our point, we need to educate the person and then have them choose. Tell them autonomy, tell them the benefits and the risks, and tell them. Yes, of course, you can offer your opinion as a healthcare provider, but then freedom to choose. You give them the options that are available for them, depending on their condition and on their age, or rather the circumstance and their desired fertility. So yeah, I think that covers the theme. Yeah.
Of course, when you say contraception is for everyone, we've also had this conversation where there are now contraceptives for men. Take us through that.
Okay, there are contraceptives for men, and actually we also want to bring men on board in the topic of contraceptives, because, allow me to divert a little bit. One of the cultural limiting issues is that women are not empowered. We've reached a level of empowerment in 2024, but then we still have women that are not empowered, and men are the decision makers in the house. So we also need to talk to men about the myths and misconceptions of contraception, so that they can also enable their partners to take up contraception. Yeah, because we find that we have men who are not pro-contraception because of the myths and misconceptions out there, and then so the woman is now pregnant and they have a lot of kids. The quality of life for the kids goes low and so on. But then in that case, we also want to bring men on board for the contraception. We have the barrier methods, the use of condoms. We have a vasectomy for them if they've already reached their desired family size. Important to note is that these surgeries, that is bilateral tubal ligation and vasectomy, you're not guaranteed of success if you change your mind. So we only try and offer them to people who are already made up their mind and they already have the desired family size. There's ongoing research for more contraceptives for men, and we still don't have it in Kenya.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Nyambura, does the legal system in Kenya promote and also recognize the male contraceptives?
One question to Dr. Isabella, and then I can answer it. Vasectomy is available in public facilities?
It should be.
It should be? Yeah. Well, I know private facilities that offer vasectomy. Are there any other known male contraceptive options other than the condom, barrier methods?
No, other than the barrier methods and the coitus interrupters, commonly known as withdrawal.
Yes.
So vasectomy is not well talked about in Kenya?
Yeah.
Okay. And also has often been challenged because of success rate. So you approach health facility X, you get the service done, it's not successful and there's a conception, and we've seen several people move to court to sue health facilities for, is it a surgery gone wrong or an unsuccessful one, because then if there's a conception, it means the surgery was unsuccessful. So maybe for one reason or another, they might not be popular, also because of social-cultural beliefs, also because of the belief that because you're the one who is likely to conceive, the onus is on you to take any methods, take methods, if any, to prevent the conception. Right.
All right. Now, I want to also understand a link between chronic diseases. Let's narrow it down to maybe endometriosis. What is the link between endometriosis and contraceptives? Is there a way or a manner in which contraceptives help relieve pain for those suffering endometriosis or any other chronic illness?
Yes, we can use contraceptive methods, particularly the pills, or rather the implants. I forgot to mention about the implants, but we'll get to that later if time allows. And we use them to medically treat other issues, or rather manage and relieve symptoms. For example, uterine fibroids, and sometimes they can cause a lot of bleeding. We use them to regulate bleeding. If someone has irregular and heavy bleeding, we can use the combined oral contraceptives to regulate it. Even for acne and astigmatism, the facial hair, the beard, we can use oral contraceptives to regulate it. And yeah, for endometriosis, we use it to relieve the symptoms associated with it, and also for the polycystic ovarian disease. Yeah, so we can use contraceptives not just to plan pregnancy, but also to help with hormonal balance and managing other conditions. Yeah.
All right, now because of the interest of time, as we gear towards World Contraception Day, of course, next week, what message do you have for women out there, Nyambura?
So please approach, if there is need to conduct any method of family planning, please approach a health facility, get information, be guided by the health service provider to make a decision that works for you, your body, taking everything into consideration. I think there's options that cover all forms of, the forms that Dr. Isabella has mentioned could cover people from all backgrounds, cost-wise, also because of lengths, preferred lengths. So for instance, if you only want it for short-term or long-term use, I think there's also options that cover people who feel like their religious backgrounds do not support the uptake of certain forms. There's methods for everyone. At the point where you access information, then you're able to make a detailed choice, right? So, sorry, an informed choice. And after an informed choice, if that doesn't work, go back to the same health provider and let them change for you the option. Yeah.
Of course, Daktari, as we close, what is your message to the young women out there?
My message to the young women and everyone is that there's an option for you, that there's an option for everyone, despite the condition, despite the age, despite whatever could be happening. Cost-wise, as Nyambura said, accessibility-wise, we can give you a long-term method or one that you can actually inject on yourself. Yeah, there's an option for you, and you should feel free to approach any healthcare provider to help you get a method for yourself. And you shouldn't feel empowered. Yeah.
Of course, there's so much more to talk about when it comes to contraceptives, of course, but time is not on our side, and I beg to close it at that. Thank you so much, ladies, for making time to grace her say tonight. We hope to have this discussion later on the side. Thank you so much for watching. That brings us to the end of our discussion tonight.